Good morning. I just wanted to say that at this time next week, you will be done all the term work for this course and you will be done your literary essay. Just think about that. You are so close to the finish line, and really the big push is going to be till Monday of next week. And then the rest is more reasonable. So I hope that you have the stamina to do it. I know I do. Caffeine helps, and I want to show you what you're doing today. So today we are pretty much finishing off activity 4 in Unit 2. That's the last activity. Let's just look at the checklist. So here we are. So you're going to read the content, and then you have 3 things that you're supposed to be doing, all that surround the idea of podcasts. So you're going to be listening to a podcast, you're going to be digging deeper, and then you're going to be synthesizing it all in a podcast. All right, so let's get started. But the only thing I wanted to mention is, like the mini essay, you're going to hand in the main task. I'm going to give you feedback. And then this day, at some point, you're going to write a reflection. So the 19th, you have tons of stuff to do. So if the reflection isn't done first thing, that's totally fine. You might need to post that reflection later on in the day after you've already started Unit 4. All right, so going to the content. Activity 4, like I mentioned, is all about podcasting. Podcasting is something that has gained a lot of traction recently and is continuing to gain traction as more and more people acquire mobile devices and wireless and data become cheaper and cheaper. So there's very little content on this page. This will probably only take you about 10 minutes to read, if that. But the main work that you're doing today is actual work with this. So you're going to head over to a popular Canadian podcast called The Life Game. And you've got to listen to it and take good notes. They're about 25 to 30 minutes. So, I don't know, grab a snack, grab a nice pen and take some notes. There are a bunch of episodes here that you can choose from. This is the first episode, so I wouldn't necessarily pick that one. Pick one of the ones following. You can see that they happened about every week for the summer of last year. So once you've picked an episode, you're going to go to the assignment page. And there are 3 tasks here. One's a blog post, one's a discussion, and one's a Dropbox task. So let's start up at the top. So after you've listened to your article, or listened to your podcast at least once, you're going to look at the codes and conventions. So you're going to have to go back to that first activity in Unit 2, where I gave you that big list, and you talked about about 9 of them in the Marshall McLuhan graphic organizer that you did. But this is what you're going to post to your blog. It doesn't have to be as long as your normal blog posts. I'm saying about half of the size of what you've been doing in the blog about so far, so about 250 words. But the important thing is to look for differences in the way your peers have responded in the podcast, because you're all listening to the same brand of podcast. You're all listening to The Life Game, but you're listening to different episodes within that. So that's assignment number 1. If you take good notes, this shouldn't take you very long at all. Assignment number 2 is a discussion. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be thinking about the theme of the particular podcast that you've looked at. So maybe that is LGBTQ identity, or maybe that's growing up in an immigrant family, or something of that nature. And once you figured out the general theme, I want you to conduct some secondary research. So this might be looking into other news articles or similar things, maybe even similar podcasts if you like listening to podcasts. But what I want you to do is just do a little bit more background research on this theme, and then you are going to record a 1 to 2 minute audio post in the discussion group. I'm just going to show you how to do that. It's just going to take me a second. The reason why you're doing this is getting practice speaking, because this is one of the units where we're really looking at your speaking skills. The other time that we're going to be looking at your speaking is during the Hamlet discussion, which will be later on in the week. But for right now, this is you just doing a dry run of speaking and having people hear your voice. And if you're going to ask me, oh, can I do a written post? I'm going to say no. You've done enough written discussion posts here. Do a verbal post, please. So, as you can see, Sydney's already posted. So if you start a new thread, put a title so people know what you're talking about. You can put something in the body, but you don't have to. The thing that I want you to do is I want you to add attachments. And you can record audio here. When you click record audio, it's going to give you a 5-minute max. Now, 5 minutes is a long time to talk, but just keep that in mind, especially if you get on a tangent, that it might cut you off. So once you hit allow, you can record. It might ask you to prompt. You can even pause your recording, depending on what browser you're using, but mine is not letting me, so you're going to have to do it all in one go. And if you make a mistake, you can just clear it. All right, so the last thing that you're doing is the synthesis. Blech. And you're actually going to create a podcast on a podcast. Yes, so it's like writing an essay about an essay. You are going to comment on how different people might respond to this episode. So remember that you are doing a podcast. So it needs to kind of like introduce the topic, like it's like someone would listen when they don't necessarily know or have any background in what you're talking about. But the focus of what you're going to be speaking is how podcasts in general and how your particular podcast from the Life Game might elicit a response within an audience. So once you're done recording that, you're going to upload your work to the Dropbox. You do not have to do this reflection until I've given you feedback on this task. So much like the mini essay, I'm going to mark this, but I am, this and this. I'm going to mark 5 different things because you're making a media text being a podcast and you're also speaking and listening to the podcast. So I'm going to be marking all of this, but then these reflection strands here, and here aren't going to be marked until after I've given you feedback. So don't do the reflection until I've given you feedback. So that's it for today. I'd say the blog post should probably take you less than an hour to both listen to the Life Game and to write the blog post. The discussion, on the other hand, will probably take you 1 to 2 hours by the time you think about the theme, do some research, draw some conclusion, write up a little script so you're not just rambling for 1 to 2 minutes on the discussion. So we are up to 2 to 3 hours, and the synthesis podcast will likely take you the rest of the time. So you are going to be working for the full 3 hours today. If you have any questions, shoot me a page, and we will talk to you later.